Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 184. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Jodi Vetterl, author of the upcoming book, The Beyond the Bank Success Strategies in the Real Estate as a Private Lender. She has a 20-year career in high-tech software sales, working at Fortune 500 companies and has won multiple sales achievement awards. She spent the last 15 years building up a real estate portfolio in both the US and Canada as a passive investor with such strategies as buy and hold single-family homes, investing in multiple family buildings through a limited partnership. She shares these strategies in her book, Beyond the Banks, because she enjoys educating others with the knowledge that have helped her create a life balance. Hello, Jodi.
Hi, Patience. Thanks so much for having me on your show. I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity to share my story with you and your listeners.
Thank you for coming. I know the clan here is anxious to hear your story, so let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own online business?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I have I've managed a career of 20 years in software sales, working for large companies that were publicly traded, quota driven, and always really enjoyed what I was doing and loved the technology, loved the clients. I all along the way, I was always aware that this might not last forever, and striving to learn other things on the side of my job. And that was for me where I really focused a lot of energy was in the real estate market. And so I was involved. I started getting involved in real estate about 15, just over 15 years ago, and was, always educating myself. There's so many, obviously, so many facets of real estate investing. There's so many countless areas where you can play when it comes to real estate investing, and so, I played in a few of those, and it's been a really wonderful journey for me.
Wow, what a background, Jodi. What is the most dangerous belief an investor can have?
I guess the most dangerous belief an investor can have is really just, trusting anybody, right? When you are, presenting yourself as an investor, you have a lot of people coming at you, and they are spin to what they're trying to sell you on their investment. And some are, a lot of them, a lot of stuff is good and fine, and then there's definitely some rotten eggs, and then there's definitely some things that deceptive. And so as an investor, what is the most important thing is that you really have to learn due diligence. And on top of that, you also have to, I really believe in learning and creating money rules so that you have the proper mindset and you have a bit of a checklist to go through to make sure that when you're not chasing shiny objects, and that you're asking the right questions around things that are presented to you, and then really going in and rolling up your sleeves and doing the due diligence on the investments and the people in the company that you're getting involved with.
You've been in the business for the last 35 years. Why do you do what you do?
I have always just been a person who has been interested in financial independence, and being in a position where, just ultimately I don't need to rely on anybody but myself. When I was working, it was great. I mean, I worked with so many amazing people, peers, and clients, um, and it was really great on so many levels. But what happened for me was that I had a baby late in life, in my mid 40s, and when I wanted this baby so bad, and I thought I could have it all. I thought I could be, still, take my year off of work and go back and be able to manage my job and manage being a mom and everything. And my partner, he travels a ton for work. So I was really functioning as a for a lot of those, especially in the winter months, as a single mom, essentially, while he was on the road. And it just was too much. And I had a manager that, when I came back to work, really challenging me in ways that was, just, it wasn't healthy. And I had kind of a catalytic moment with him that, after I sort of got over the shock of it, I decided that it's time to roll up my sleeves and figure out a plan. And I gave myself 12 months because I wanted to prove him wrong. I wanted to leave on a good note, and I also wanted to leave with financial independence. I didn't want to go horizontal to another job because I couldn't take on a new learning curve that wasn't my own, that wasn't for my own purpose, my own dream. And as a result, we always talk about, like a lot of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial training and whatnot. They say to you right off the top, get your why straight. What is your why? Get that straight in your head, because that is going to be the the driving force that is going to push you through those tough times when you have to stay up late, or you need to plunk in those numbers and you really don't want to tackle that and look at it. And my why was more than just, my baby. My why really became clear to me, and that was that I didn't want my son growing up with a mom that felt, stressed, haggard, hating her job, hating her boss, hating, just running, racing, and just being overwhelmed. Because that was, really how I was living, and it was affecting my relationships. It was affecting the way that I was parenting, and I just had this dream, like later on in life, of being a mom, and I had I had to, it didn't come easy. So, because I was in my 40s, so I had to really work at it, and, had a pregnancy that didn't work out and a few things. And so had some hardship around that. And I didn't think that dream was going to come true. And then here it was. And I felt like, wow, am I really cherishing these moments with this little person that I wanted to have in my life so bad? And that was an eye opener for me. And that was really the driving force to go, no, this is not the life I want. I want an extraordinary life. I want an extraordinary relationship with my partner and with my son. I want him to grow up with a healthy environment, not a stressed out mom. And so, yeah, I rolled up my sleeves and created a financial plan, and was able to give myself the time to achieve that. And then I was able to fire my boss essentially, and it felt really good that day that I was able to release myself from that situation. So,
Wow. Woo. What a journey.
Yeah.
Okay. You've been in the business for a long time. Let's put man aside. How do you know you are successful?
That's, success, I think, is something that is ongoing and organic, and it's always, there's so many different peaks to success, I think. Um, I had a goal, and I gave myself a time period to hit that goal. And from that goal, I was going to reward myself with leaving my job. And so to me, that was success. And then on to the next thing. So, okay, what's next? And the next thing was, okay, I want to write a book because I want to share this with other people. I want to share the idea of looking beyond the banks for investments, because it's very lucrative and passive, and you're secured against collateral on your investment. Um, and so it's, to me, very secure and safe way to be investing, as long as you're doing your proper deal analysis and you're doing your due diligence. Um, and I wrote a book. This is what I guess what we're talking about is that I wrote a book, called the Beyond the Banks, as you mentioned, and it is coming out in a couple months. It's been just over a year-long journey, and then so once that book is out, that'll be, um, another milestone, another goal that's hit for me, and so there's success, in that achievement. And then what I'm working on now is really building a business around the book, and that is building out, a course, and I'm doing one-on-one coaching right now, which is so amazing. It brings me so much joy to see the light bulbs turning on for these clients of mine. I just love it. It really brings me joy, because they see how this can change their lives and their families' lives, and we're putting everything into perspective. And then, yeah, and then so that's for me is success. Every time, in fact, every time the light bulb goes off and these clients have their aha moments with me, sharing, these spectacular, ways of investing with them, that for me is another check mark in the category of success. And then ultimately, my goal is to build out an automated course, which I'm actively working on, and so I can provide it to more people.
What do you think that is difficult for people to break up with their hairdresser and their financial advisors?
Well, this is the thing, right?
Uh-huh.
We get into these relationships with
Mm.
our financial advisors. They're people, and they are taught to build rapport and, build, business relationships with you. The problem is that the way that the financial advisors or the investment advisors are working is that, they're investing your money in product that they're told to invest your money in. They have quotas. They are supposed to be, fiduciaries. They are, supposed to be looking out for the best interest of you and your money. They are making fees and commissions off of your money, off of your principal amount, whether you make money or not. So they're putting their kids through college, and then you're, invested with them long term, because they like to say that it's a long term thing. It's a long term. But the problem is that, if you really take a look at the fees and commission structures, and there's lots of evidence for this. In fact, Tony Robbins, in his Unshakable book, he talks about it, and he was so disturbed by how much, these financial institutions are actually taking from your principal amount over the years. that he built some software programs that are free and available to people, so that you can actually plunk in your investments and you can see exactly what the fees and commissions are looking like. And it's quite amazing, because it is a huge chunk. They're actually making more money from your money than you are. It's disturbing. It's wrong. I don't know. I mean, they probably go in with the best of intentions, but they are selling you. They're salespeople, and they have quotas, and the people above them have quotas, and there's board of directors, and everything is quota driven. So I had a lot of evidence just within my own portfolio that was in the hands of a financial advisor for a decade or longer. And I had a really hard time breaking up with her. And it just, I was questioning a lot of stuff. And it came to the point where my questions were making her defensive and uncomfortable. And ultimately, she said, you know what, if you're going to ask me this many questions and be taking up this kind of time, then, maybe you'd be better going elsewhere. And so I did. And I started learning about investing on my own. And that I've never looked back. I have actually seen my portfolio grow, whereas when she was handling it, I was either in the red or just on par for what I put in. And every time I went, I was getting a spin, oh, you're making 32% on this stock. And then you realize that she's talking about 32% over 7 years, and that's only 4.5%. And then the other 3 things or 4 things she had me in were underwater. So I wasn't really making any money at all. But I liked her, I thought she was so neat. I visited her in her, in her vacation property, and I was just in awe. I felt like she was a bit of a mentor. And at the end of the day, it was like I was just, part of the equation for her to make her quota.
What have you learned from business as a whole?
From business as a whole? Oh, that's a big question. There's so many things. But at the end of the day, I think that, if you are a person of integrity and you work with people that have integrity, and you do your due diligence on everything. Don't just go in trusting because you like that person or because it sounds really good. We always hear about people that are like, oh, I have this friend and he's invested in this thing and it sounds really good, and and then when you start kind of asking questions around it, that's really all that it is this person who has this friend that is done really well on something. And usually when someone's done really well, when you're talking about stocks and things like that, by the time that you're hearing that someone's done really well on it, the run is probably over. By the time something gets on, BNN or CNN Money, the institutional buying is done. People have made their money. So, and then they advertise this stuff and then people jump in because they think it's, oh, this sounds really good. Yeah, you have to be really careful. You have to really, that does sound, be open. I'm always open. I'm always, you have to be open. If you want to learn about different things and what other people are doing, absolutely keep your ears open. That is huge. But roll up your sleeves and do your due diligence. And I mean, there are so many ways of doing due diligence, especially with, the internet at our fingertips nowadays. You can really check in on things. And there's professional organizations that you can check in on as well. There's all sorts of different things that you can do. And that is so important. So yeah, be open. A lot of times I'm talking to people and they just shut you down before you've even got your first sentence out. And it's like, okay, that person's not open to learning about how they can make double-digit returns, and that's totally fine. I'm not going to spend energy trying to convince anybody. If somebody is interested and they're open and they want to ask questions, then I'm here for them. But yeah, I'm not going to go and shove something down someone's throat that they're not ready to hear or open to hearing, and that's totally fine. So.
Okay, thanks for sharing. You mentioned that you had a mentor, but when you went there, it was not what you hoped. So, did you have any other mentors or coaches along the way?
Oh my gosh, I have so many mentors and coaches around me, pretty much all the time throughout my life, or adult life, or educating myself on investing. I have done tons of coaching, and right now, gosh, I probably have like half a dozen mentors around me. So you definitely want to, I mean, this is well talked about in the world of, coaching, and, you hear Tony Robbins talking about it. It's like, if you want to be a millionaire, align yourself with millionaires and find a millionaire that you can be mentored from. If you want to be a billionaire, then align yourself with billionaires and learn what they're learning, and find yourself a mentor. I definitely have a lot of mentors around me, around business, around investing, just even my direct business partners who I invest with, I consider them mentors. Very powerful women around me either doing $1 billion business in a very short period of time, or multi-million-dollar business on their way to doing $1 billion within 2 years, kind of thing. So I have some pretty powerful, very powerful women around me that are aligned with what I'm doing, and are, two of them have written chapters, in my book. So it's exciting to be working with them.
Okay. What is the most valuable thing your mentors has told you?
Know your why. That is so huge, to know your why. I mean, I can't stress that enough. And when you know your why, you get clear. You start to get clarity on everything else. You start to figure out your path, your journey. And another thing that we hear a lot about, but it's very powerful, is to see yourself in the future and work backwards. So if you want an extraordinary life, and you want to be making X amount of dollars, or you want to be, whatever it looks like, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve to build that extraordinary life, write that out as if it's already occurring for you, and then work backwards. So, okay, so if you want to make $1 million in 2019, how do you do that? Write out that you're going to declare it, that you're going to make that $1 million, and then work backwards. Okay, there's X amount of months up until the end of 2019, and how much would I need to make or earn per month in order to achieve that target? And okay, how would I do that? And break it down. You can even break it down into weeks and days. And there's a lot of those kind of techniques out there, and they are very powerful.
Let's talk about your book a little bit more. And why do we need this book? And who's this book for?
This book is for people that, well, it's really for anybody. It's about figuring out what where you may have access to money that you're not realizing. They're either underperforming assets, or assets that you may be sitting on that are making zero income, that you can transform with some restructuring, and then go and get into some opportunities where you're lending and making double-digit returns and secured on title of a property. So, there's it's really like about, funding strategies. Well, it's also about, money mindset and those kind, money rules and things like that, that we've already talked about. It's about the funding strategies, and then about how to find these opportunities, how to do the deal analysis on them, how to do the due diligence. Of course, due diligence, we've talked about that quite a bit on this call. So important. And what, kind of opportunities are out there, and how to find them and what to look for. It seems to be a lot of my target audience are people that are nearing their 40s or in their 40s and early 50s, people that are close to retirement. They've kind of like built themselves up in their career, and then they have family, they've had some value shifts, and they're realizing that, okay, if I do want to retire when I'm 55, how realistic is that with where I'm at financially? And those are definitely, I mean, that was me, right? I was like, okay, I've always said I want to retire at 45, and here I was, almost 45, and then when I really kind of laid it all out and truly looked at it, I didn't realize I was already there until I put it down in the spreadsheet. And that's really the goal of it. It's like, let's roll up our sleeves and take a look at this, and have a reality check on where you're at, where you want to be, and then how do you get there. And private lending is a very viable solution, because it's passive, it's easy in a lot of ways. It's not like you're going out in like advertising and finding the house, negotiating the terms, doing the reno, picking out the materials, and then having to stage it and sell it. You really are the person that's funding those people that are doing that kind of stuff. And so you're just, making sure you've done your due diligence, signing the contract and transferring the money, and then sitting back and they're doing all of that while you're doing your day-to-day and working your job or looking after your family or whatever it is that you're doing, and you're earning double-digit returns on that. And it's fantastic. So
wow, we can't wait to get this book. And where will we find this book, and how can we connect with you?
you can connect with me through my website, www.jodivetterl.com. You can also email me at jodi@jodivetterl.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And my book is coming out in the next couple months. I just sent it back back into edit, and they're moving into layout. So I'm about 2 months away from it coming out. There will be a free digital download, and then there will be an opportunity to buy off the website and off of Amazon. I've already pre-sold about 3,000 copies, and it is full of, strategies and resources as well. So there's a resource section in the back, and it's only people that I personally work with and that have supported me in the financial independence that I achieved. So I'm very proud to have them in the book as business partners and sponsors, and that will be all available to your audience.
Oh, that would be great. So anyone who want to pre-order can go on Amazon and get this copy?
Go and register on jodivetterl.com for the digital download, and then what I will do is inform everybody who is registered when it is available for pre-order on Amazon.
Wow, thank you. So, clan, there will be more from Jodi in a moment. If you are listening on one of the many podcasting platforms rather than my website and you are encouraged by Jodi's journey, go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for a bonus portion of the interview. The Online Success Journey is a wonderful membership community built for people searching for the path to success. We are one big clan and you can be part of this community for free. Once you have joined the clan, click on part of Jodi's journey or over 150 other journeys that are available and learn how you can find the right path for your own online success journey. That's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Jodi.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path, so make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.